Welcome back to Big Gold Belt Media. It's Damon G. It's Terrell. We are here with another review, and as you can see behind us, Dragon, Like a Dragon, Yakuza. And
Yes.
I'm just, yeah, I'm. Let me start. Let me just start by saying this review is non-spoiler, but this drove me crazy. Okay, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, scheduled to be released on Prime Video on the 24th of October. The first 3 episodes, to be exact, and then the last 3 episodes of the season are going to be released November 1st. And this is mostly based on the Yakuza games, the Like a Dragon video game series. So there's things that cross pollinate from the games, but if you've never played the games, you're not going to be lost. So that's a good thing to start off. But overall, and I'll just give my first like 3 seconds of review is, like I said, this drove me crazy only because there was so much randomness where I had to go back and watch multiple times, multiple scenes to say, yeah, I saw that, right? Yeah, that was. It's not Tokyo Vice, because people have knew me and Cam covered it for the channel, so I thought, okay, because remember we had Cam with us at first, and we're like, wait, yeah, back into this. We're gonna watch this, this Japanese, like this Yakuza. Yeah, we're in this. This was cartoony in a lot of ways. And I wasn't expecting it to be this. And I'm not going to say it was goofy, but it was definitely not what I expected. So it drove me insane because on one hand, it tried to be serious. On the other hand, I'm like, yo, how many samurai sword slashes you going to take before you die, bro? Like, and I'm over here thinking, you've been stabbed. Like, characters were stabbed, shot, thrown out of windows. And they're like, like no big deal. Like nothing happened. They took a med pack and they kept it moving. And that drove me bananas because when we watched Tomb Raider, it was the complete opposite. Even though it was an animated series based on the video game, when Lara got injured, she got slowed down due to her injuries. She had to tape up stuff. She had to bandage stuff. She didn't go just dumping through glass windows with no cuts and abrasions. And that's animated. So that was my initial thought process of the show. Terrell, what did you think?
This pairing between us could not be any more perfect, and I say that to say your reaction to this is so great. Like I'm glad that I am literally hearing this for the first time to hear you say that, because I have played the Yakuza games Like a Dragon. And this is exactly what it's like.
Exactly.
Like this is exactly the tempo of it. And I think that the show definitely gets the balance of it so right. Like and not even so far as like the lean too far into the video games, because the video games are way more ridiculous. Like way more ridiculous. You got dudes running around in their underwear. You got dudes in chicken costumes beating people up. There's so many different like ridiculous stuff in the Like a Dragon games. So going into this, I feel like I was just so surprised that it's happening, that it got created in the first place. We have the main actor in the show named Ryoma Takuchi, who's playing Kazuma Kiryu, who's also one of my favorite Kamen Rider actors because he plays Kamen Rider Drive.
Nice.
So when I found out about that, a few months back, I was at San Diego Comic-Con. Prime Video had a party. We everybody that was on the Prime roster was pretty much in there, from the Lord of the Rings to the Like a Dragon guys. Everybody was in there. It was a great party, and at that same time, I just didn't realize that I really even envisioned him for this role. But as I watched the show, and like I said, it's like how many Like a Dragon Yakuza games, and keep in mind they just recently changed the name of the game from Yakuza to Like a Dragon in America for the last 2 games. The last two games they've changed the format from that to a JRPG, and you play as a completely different character that's not Kiryu Kazuma. So it's no longer a third person beat 'em down game. It's pretty much now a RPG beat 'em down game with all the same elements. I like that this show is now honed in on this specific story, which is the first story that we get. with Kiryu Kazuma and his family, and seeing like the stuff they go through, because this is kind of played out over. This is basically Yakuza 1.
Yes.
This story here is Yakuza 1. And anybody that's played the video games, you kind of know what to expect. There's a lot of fat being trimmed here, which I'm not mad about. I think the pacing is very well done. You said it was a lot of comical moments. I thought it was, maybe because again my point of reference is the game here. It was way more serious. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there were some moments that were funny, but like, you know, the action was where it needed to be, you know, focusing on the story. But like you said, it is a lot. And I think because it has an ensemble of characters in this particular show, it's harder to like really focus it on anybody, even though Kiryu's supposed to be the main character, because it is jumping around from different. No, I think the Nishiki and Kiryu is supposed to be the main focus. But I feel like I said, between that and the sisters, it's kind of hard to focus in. But I would like less to say, like, I think it does a really good job of kind of making the story its own. You know, obviously, you know, if they had a chance to film this in the 80s, it would have been nice, you know, and
perfect for the 80s. Yes.
Right. You see, like, you know, where they really try to like hone in on like specific spaces. I really wish that we could get Kamurochō like as big as it is in the game and like really hit a lot of corners and alleys, but I feel like you can't really do that in this show because it's just, you know, in Japan right now, there's some areas that still looks like that, but once you pan that camera a little bit, you start to see the modern era of a lot of things. So it kind of just doesn't make sense. But overall, I think they did a fantastic job with this. I felt I was in it like as soon as I saw the first episode. I'm like, all right, I'm feeling this. But yeah, overall so far, I really like it. 6 episodes on Prime. There 6 episodes, so I wanted more. That's the problem. So.
Okay, so that's a good point, because I binged it the first night when we all started watching it, and then, you know, I told you, okay, we'll watch tomorrow, but then I couldn't sleep, so I binge watched the rest of it. I will say, for as random as it was on my end watching this, the pacing, you brought this up, the pacing led me to want more between episodes. So, you know, do you remember how when Marvel used to drop all this stuff on Netflix, and you want to turn it off, but you binge watching, so you gotta watch the next one? The momentum kept me wanting to continue to watch, even when we lost Cam by like episode 3 or 4. Like, you know, I kept watching. I wanted to keep watching because the suspense that was built up during episodes, between characters. I don't want you girls to think that I didn't like this. I'm just talking about at first the randomness of it all. But as I got to sit down and really hunker down on this, I thought, okay, this is really well done for what it is. I'm not going to spoil a lot of stuff, but if you played the video games, you already know our two mains, you know, share a family dynamic. You know, there's other people who weren't created for the show, for the game, I believe, that are in this show that are part of the dynamic now. So they borrowed from the Toretto School of Family in this, you know, and that's fine. But I feel as if lately, and you known this too, that seems to be the trope that everyone's going with, the we are family dynamic as a tipping point, as a motivational point. But Nishiki,
well, I mean, if anything, you said it's more so borrowed, because I mean the Yakuza and, you know, Mafia, all those like the originators of family, but I mean they take that to like a harsher extent. Like once you in. Like it's only 2 ways out. You know what I mean? Like you pay your dues or you did. Like that's the only way out of the Yakuza. And I think they do a really good job of like showing the broadness of this family. Like, you know, right now in the games, every time a character a character is introduced, they'll have like a position. They'll show a position and they'll show like their name and stuff. And they do that here, but they don't do it as well as I would have liked them to do with the title cards, stuff like that. But that was probably a choice. Like they don't want it to make it look as, you know, they didn't want it to look like the games, or they didn't want it to give it that cartoony feel, like you were saying. but no, like I said, I mean, like, you know, you talk about the trope of everything family. I do agree with that, but I feel like this is a different type of family here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not just the Yakuza, but like the way they're carrying it here, with Kiryu and his family, versus like, you know, the other stuff that we've seen. But I also like that they respectfully handle the topic of the Yakuza too. Like, it's not like, sometimes it's super silly, but then it's like really serious, where like you start to hone in on those stories between characters, and just it really hits some beats, man. Like the games will have you sitting there for hours watching cutscenes, but it is definitely worth it. Like, you get invested. Like, you get invested. I would say that. I'm leaving it there.
Oh yeah, no, but that's a good point, because as you watch these characters interact with each other, it's almost as if everybody had a mini arc who wasn't the main characters of the story.
Right,
everybody played their position, and to your point about paying homage to the Yakuza, the ceremonies that you see in this, you know, the bargaining, the back and forth, you know, between clans and families, it's not played for laughs, it's not played for jokes. This is, and I can go back to Tokyo Vice, this is really respectful of the culture of the Yakuza. Say what you want about the criminal underworld or what have you, but this show showed it in a way, like you said, the mafia, right? Back in the day, everyone's well dressed, they represent themselves, you know, in a presentable way, except for one or two characters that got a couple of screws loose, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. Last resort characters as we saw them in the series. But you mentioned the pacing, the flashbacks and flash forwards and the flash sideways. Like, everything was good, but at first it takes a while to get used to, because you're jumping, and then, like you said, the title cards are really tiny, so you have to squint to see, wait, 10 years ago, what year is this? 1995? Okay, wait, 2004? Okay, so you have to jump around to pay attention, but you could tell, if you don't know what time you're in, you could tell by the actors, you know, the more youthful appearance, you know, or before they, you know, they found each other, because this show starts randomly, like I said, on some shenanigans, and then it leads to the Yakuza getting involved. You know, it's like Ocean's 11 gone wrong, and then we got the Yakuza joining this process. But you mentioned the pacing. So what didn't you like about the pacing and the way this show portrayed itself? Because I thought it was a slow burn, and it almost took too long.
My problem is, like, because, like, again, those, like, you could probably look it up, YouTube, stuff like that. Like, the cutscenes are pretty lengthy. Like, like, there's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of building in between, like, a lot of it. In the six episodes, I really don't feel like they built up enough of, like, some of the backstory that I really wanted to see. Like, I mean, if they showed you what you wanted to see, but I don't feel like we sat at it for too long to really care, if that makes sense. Like, and that's kind of the big difference between playing the game, is that you're sitting with this character for hours. Like, you're really getting invested. You're seeing cutscenes, you're reading stuff, you're interacting with characters, you're building relationships. This, like I said, we have to keep it moving, so it's not as much time to kind of build much stuff. I mean, they still show stuff and you still feel it, but I feel like, because the biggest difference between the game and this is that you're able to sit with it a little bit longer. Not to say that it doesn't get the point across, but 6 episodes to me is not enough. I'm not sure why that was the number for that. And these episodes are about like 40 minutes,
45 minutes to 50 minutes, depending. Yeah.
I think that first episode was like an hour or some change, but yeah. And again, I get the pacing, like I said, between the jumping back and forth between the time periods, which again, if you played the games, you know, jumping back between the time periods, like you said, if they didn't show it, you probably wouldn't know. I'm glad it's not one of those shows that do that, because it's been definitely shows where they just jump and you're like, hold up, are we back in the past? Or, you know, usually there's some type of visual cue to let you know that we're not in the present, or we're not where we are, or this is a flashback. You know, usually in manga, you know, they have like dark pages which shows, okay, this is a flashback or something like that. But no, like I said, I mean, other than that, my only issue with the pacing here is that there just wasn't enough episodes to me that felt like, oh man, I wish we would have had more time to tell more of these characters' story.
Especially, go ahead. Sorry, finish that.
No, I was saying that was just like my main issue with how it's paced out throughout the show. It just seems like we just needed more time with it. I mean, that could be on purpose, but maybe we gotta save some episodes of season 2.
But then again, if there is a season 2, and that would be my next point, is they kind of wrapped up some stuff where you're like, as you said, already? Yeah. Oh, okay, we're done with this? And going back to what I said originally, where it left me wanting more, and I'll phrase it this way because I'm trying to find a more sensitive way to say it. They blew their load in the 6 episodes. So I'd be interested to see if there is a season 2, which way they're going to go with it. Because if you shot all the shotguns in the barrel, then what do you got left? So that's going to be what I am interested in seeing, where they go from, if there is a season 2, because like we said, the 6 episodes might have felt a little rushed. I want to take it really quick to the actor portrayals and the characters themselves. The character of Nishiki, and again, I'm not fully invested in the games. I like going into things kind of blind. He goes from sniveling a-hole, it's almost like when you're watching, spoilers from Transformers 1, D16 and Orion Pax, like, all right, you're a bit of a dork. All right, you're kind of corny. And you get the flash forward and you're thinking, wait, who's this dude with the slick back hair, right? And then when you keep going back and forth, oh, it's the same guy. Oh, he's got the glow up. So for me, I'll say that the actor, and I'll get the actor's name in a second, who played Nishiki, Kento Kaku, chef's kiss, because I hated him, and he made me hate him. And the fact that Kiryu still looking out for his mans, man. And I'm thinking, bro, really? After all he's been through and done with you? See, there's family, and then there's bro. There's that one family member you might have to let go. And I got the sense that Nishiki was someone I need to let go by episode 3.
Yeah, because pretty much like in the first game, he's like the main, bad guy basically, right? Like he's the he's the guy, but like, you speak of that, like the glow up, whatever. It's always that character, like, and I think the way you feel that way is because the story is not portrayed through Nishiki's perspective. I think if you would have seen. If they would have strictly shown him as a child and coming up and struggling with the daycare and stuff like that, and why he did what he did, and rise to power and stuff like that, you would probably feel a different way. But because the story is told through Kiryu, who's basically the face here, what I mean, the story, he has a no-kill policy. He'll beat you the hell up, but he has no-kill policy, stuff like that. Where Nishiki does not want to ever go back to that point in his life again, where he feels like, because we see a point where he's basically willing to give the big sacrifice to be a part of the Yakuza. You know what I mean? Like, so we already see early on he's willing to do whatever. So anything at that point going forward is not that surprising as to what he's willing to do.
Oh, exactly. And it goes back to, I'll use the reference again of D16 and Orion Pax. Nishiki turns into Megatron almost as we watch this turn. He becomes cutthroat, stoic. No more that sniveling weasel we saw in the first couple of episodes is long gone in that 10-year time skip. And that's why I like the performance. But I get it. There's a phrase, we use in wrestling, like, I ain't going back to the trailer park, because wrestlers would say they came from the trailer park and now they're on top, they're not going back. Nishiki ain't going back. That's the mentality he had. So your point,
no going back.
Yeah, there is none. He's like, no, I need to be the man. No one's gonna boss me or push me around anymore, right? So I loved his portrayal. The character of Kiryu, I'm like, bro, after a while you have to let somebody go. But I get it. It's family. We've been through stuff.
He's torn between his sense of honor for the Yakuza, the Omni, Omni group, the Omni Alliance, and his love for his adopted brother, his whatever.
Right.
So hey, I'm and obviously his love for the characters in the games and in the show trumps his obligations to the Yakuza, XYZ, because as soon as he comes back from whatever, he's like, I'm done. But you see, he jumps right back in when family is involved. He's willing to put himself on the line. It does not matter. Like that's the character over these games in a nutshell. Like he goes through so many changes, different things, and not a spoiler to this, but like later on, Kiryu basically becomes almost like a secret agent. That's basically where those games go. But like I said before, him having those two different paths of honor he has to follow, and always having to somehow like go up against one of them all the time. This constant battle. Like, man, I know what I got to do, but I don't want to do it. Stuff like that. Yeah. But if you hurting his friends and family, it does not matter who you are. So I definitely like that. But in this show, they don't really give Kiryu a lot of lines either, because Kiryu's not like a really like talkative character. Like he'll talk to you, converse, but he won't really strike up the conversation and stuff like that. But this show, you really don't even have the time. It doesn't even have time. It's like moment after moment, like, okay, let's go. So man, this is such a great adaptation. I'm really happy that video game, movies, and television have eaten good. I think this is a really good job. Like for this to be the first time, I don't want to say this is the first time, because they've had to have done this some point in the past, and I'm gonna look that up. But for this to be like as big as it is, I think they did a really good job. As somebody that's played these games for years now, I'm not upset. There's no reason to be here. I think if you like these games, I think you'll really like this series. There's other particular characters I wish would have got more time, but that's neither here or there, because their involvement in this first game is not really that big anyway. So I'm not unhappy about that.
So would you say this is perfect for you?
No, it's not perfect.
As a rating? Okay.
It's not perfect. Yeah, if I had to rate it, if I had to rate it with a I would say I would give it like a 6 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, just because like I know how crazy the action gets in these games. I wish they would have showcased that more, but I feel like that would have leaned more into the art, the gaming side of it, and they wanted to keep a balance of this being like a serious portrayal and yet pay a homage to the actual video game too, without it looking silly. So I understand. I just wish they would have shown a little bit more of that. Some of the crazy combos and stuff that the Kiryu does in the game. But unfortunately, like you said, you gotta find balance. Like with anything, with comic book movies, you gotta weigh the scales on, man, do I really want the costumes to look like this from the comics, or or characters to have certain things or have a certain look? It's certain things you just kind of gotta like, man, this is not gonna translate well in a live action, and I think fans have accepted that. Some fans, but I think this is a really good adaptation, but it is missing some things that I would have definitely wanted from the games more. I mean, it's possible if we go into a season 2, we could get more of it. So never say never.
And that's funny, because I'm going to give this a rating of 7, maybe even 7.5 out of 10, because it was a slow burn. It almost lost me. But then I want to say somewhere between episode 3 and 4, it kind of switched for me. I said, okay, now I got to watch. So for a comic book adaptation, like you're saying, it's good, or video game adaptation, it's good. There's things you have to give up, obviously, to film in the real world. You can't be doing 100-punch combos. I mean, you could, but then you'd make it campy. But the realism and the grittiness and the grime stayed. And I will say the costume design, pretty damn good. Like, everybody was well dressed. They all had money apparently, so nobody looked worse for wear. Even the grunts in the show didn't look worse for wear. So great on that. The performances of the mains, some were stale. Some of the secondary mains were stale.
They weren't really memorable. Like they were just like, just kind of passing in the wind. Like I did like the guy that plays Goro Majima, who
Yes.
if you watch the trailer, you see it. I think he did a really good portrayal of the character. I would definitely, if this goes where I want it to go, I would love. Okay, if this does really well, I would love to see them do another show, or like have this kind of be like almost like an anthology thing, or if it's not a straight line, just have like different characters' perspective, like, and then have him do it, because that's kind of how the games are. Like you're playing from a different character perspective, and you're seeing certain events unfold. And Yakuza 0, you get to play more of Goro Majima, and you get to see more of his backstory. What's going on here. I feel like they're definitely jumping around a bit, so you miss some of the why. But like I said, I would definitely like to see more of his character for sure, because he's definitely like the second most popular character in the series. So,
okay, see, I didn't know that, because I just thought he was a crazy antagonist while we're watching the show.
No, him and Kiryu constantly got beef. Like look it up. I mean, you'll see like they're constantly like fighting. Like Goro is like Majima is constantly like Kiryu, where you at? Like let's scrap, let's go. It's constantly on.
So wait, it's like Yusuke and Kuwabara. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, they eventually, like, I can never tell if they just don't like each other or if they just have a mutual respect for each other, because they're kind of on the same page. Majima as you see, is not scared to do what he has to do, but eventually that kind of changes a little bit. But yeah, they're kind of on the same page, like, or kind of opposites. You know what I mean? Like one's Superman, one's Batman, one's willing to take it to a certain extent, one's not. So yeah, I really like those two characters, man. I need to get me some statues or something too. That I'm thinking about. So,
just to show them fighting, because when Goro's character grew on me, because I honestly, again, I didn't really know going into it, so I thought he was going to wind up being a throwaway character. But then we get to the end, and it almost serves as a I want to say an origin story for him in certain parts of it. You're like, oh, you're important to the plot. Okay, you're not just a crazy goon. All right, great.
I mean, he's about to get his own game pretty soon when he's a pirate. So
go figure.
I'm pretty excited about that.
So I give it a 7.5 out of 10. You give it about a 6 out of 10.
Let us know in the comments. Go ahead. I would say 6 out of 10. Now I'm taking away some points too, because I feel like some of the music just did not add up. I'm like, what?
I liked it.
Some of the song choices were like modern day renditions, like trying to. I was kind of hoping for more of a Japanese vibe, and they were playing like American songs. I'm not sure like if that was intentional. Not to say that they can't do that, but just the choice there. Like I said, hold on, who's this? This is written by Toshihiro Nogashi, who has pretty much written he's been like producer on all of the Like a Dragon series, so that's not surprising. So they had a writer from the games write this, which I mean, pretty good, because I mean, like those are like real stories. So, well, some of the real stories, but yeah, and they use real people for those characters in the game too. Like all those character models, stuff like that, are like actual 3D scans of like real people, not real characters that in the Yakuza, but like real people they use for those games. So, but yeah, I feel like 6 is good. Like the music was good. I got to take a point because it was just a little short for me. I wanted more. I wish the characters would have got a little bit more seasoning. I mean, I already know, so I'm not mad. But for the people that are coming to this, like, you're like, man, okay, what's going on? I just wish they would have got a little bit more seasoning for you to care more. But I thought the action was good. Like you said, it was gritty. People getting stabbed, people getting banked up. You know what I mean? They did a really good job of showing that, not shying away from it at all. Even people getting shot, you see off the back. I think they did a really good job, because I was afraid of that. I was afraid that they weren't going to show how crazy this game can get, like violent wise with these people. Okay. So I'm glad they did show that. So I now that I think about it, I might boost it up to a 7 now, just because. But But other than that, yeah, it definitely, I think I said, it hit a lot of points, but it being too short, some of the musical choices, and like I said, just wanting more from the characters was kind of bringing it down for me right now.
Okay, and that's fair, and hopefully we get a season 2. So let us know in the comments down below what you think. We both agree now. It's like a 7 out of 10. So
Yeah.
yes, you should watch this. You need to watch this, and I hope this brings in more fans to the game series. Seeing
think
how
it
it's
will.
portrayed. Yeah, I hope so.
The last couple games these games have always been niche, like super niche. The last couple games have pulled in a lot of new people. I don't know if it's like the turn-based RPG style, which a lot of people claim that
That's what pulled me in briefly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of people claim they don't like the turn. They want this new Kingdom Hearts style, which is fine. But for them to go back and do turn-based RPG with a game that has been basically a brawler type game this entire time is such a big thing. Like I didn't know how I was going to receive it, but it really works. Like it works for this game. So I'm hoping it brings a lot of people into the game, so I can finally talk to people about Yakuza or like the Dragon now. So.
Yeah, I think that's why I got brought in briefly to the franchise, the gaming franchise, was when it switched to Like a Dragon and it went to a turn-based RPG. And as you said at the beginning of the video, random weapons, random costumes, just a little over the top. But you guys should watch this. And I think if this brings you to the games, that's a double whammy and a double win for this show.
Absolutely.
Real quick, what do you think about them releasing the first 3 episodes on the 24th and then the next 3 the week after?
I honestly wish they because there's only 6 episodes. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But they kind of wish they want to do it in batches. I almost kind of wish they would do it in 2s. That way there's more pause and talk of the what are cool. Like, yo, did you see Like a Dragon last night? But I'm cool with it. I mean, it's a quick burn. I mean, you can't be mad. You're in, you're out. You decide if you like it. We get a second season real quick. So
okay,
not holding you. So, but I mean, this is not like hyper big budget here, but like I said, I wonder if it's going to be like a 6 episode thing going forward. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we get more fleshed out characters in season 2 and a couple more episodes, not stopping at 6. But yes, you all should watch this. Comes out October 24th, the first 3 episodes. Then the final 3 are released on Prime Video on November 1st. Again, let us know in the comments down below. Did you agree with our 7s to 7.5 out of 10s? Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com, your one-stop shop for all things entertainment news. This is Damon and Terrell, and we are going to catch you on the next episode.